God bless you, family. I'm a changed man for life. Thank you for stopping in and checking out my channel. Thank you for stopping in and checking out this video. If you have not yet subscribed, please take this opportunity to do so. Smash that subscribe button, ring the notification bell so you get notified when new content is dropped. How's everybody doing? It is Sunday evening. Hope everybody had a great weekend, getting ready to head into a holiday Monday, tomorrow, President's Day. So if you have the day off like I do, hopefully you'll be enjoying the time, getting some rest, maybe prepping for the rest of the work week. Thank y'all for checking me out. As you can see by the thumbnail, I'm posing a question that I'm going to answer for y'all. And that question is, what if I had never gone to prison? Basically, what would my life have been like if I had never gone to prison? If you're not familiar with my story, if you're not familiar with my channel, I did 24 years. I'm an ex-lifer. When I was 21 years old, in the year 1991, I was sentenced to 30 years to life for the crime of first-degree murder. At that point in my life, I was a gang member. I was a drug addict, and I was just living foul. I was in the streets, just living foul, and unfortunately took somebody's life. And that resulted in me going to prison with a life sentence. And as I said, I was sentenced to 30 years to life. Of that 30 years to life, I did 24 years. I came home in 2015. So what is the inspiration for this video? What is the inspiration for this question? This is something that's actually asked in most parole board hearings and in most psychological evaluations that take place prior to a parole board hearing. If you're not familiar with the parole hearing process, in California, before a life term inmate sees the parole board, they have to be evaluated by a psychologist. And that psychologist gives a rating of future dangerousness. And the ratings range from low, medium to high. And ideally, if you can be found to be a low risk for future violence, if you can be found a low risk for future dangerousness to society, that tends to bode very well for you being granted parole. Now, on the opposite end, if you get a high rating, if you are found to be a high risk of violence or a high risk of dangerousness to society, that hurts your chances of getting found suitable by the board and coming home. And then medium, can fluctuate either way, depending on the commissioners, depending on how you as the lifer can explain to the board the things that they're concerned with. So during the psychological evaluations, this is almost always one of the questions that the psychologist is going to ask the lifer that's being interviewed. If you had not committed your crime and come to prison with a life sentence, what would your life have been like? Ultimately, what would your life have resulted in? And it's a tricky question for some people. A lot of people are trying to give the right answer versus just being honest, because sometimes when you're just honest, you give the wrong answer and it can hurt you. So people are scared of that. When you're going to the parole board, especially as a lifer, especially as someone that's been in prison for 20 years or more, this is like, you can look at it as a job interview, and you're interviewing for the job of free citizen. And that's like the most intense job interview you'll ever experience in your life. You're literally speaking for your freedom. So people, want to say the right things. And again, when you're in this psychological evaluation, you're going to be asked, what would your life have been like? And a lot of people make the mistake of saying that, oh, I would have ended up, straightening out. I would have ended up going to college, and I would have ended up becoming a doctor. And I would have, truth of the matter is, that wasn't going to happen. So let me speak to my life personally. At the time that I took someone's life, as I mentioned in the opening, I was a gang member. I was addicted to meth. I was strung out. I weighed 135 pounds when they arrested me. I was just doing bad. I was in the streets, living that street life fully. I was putting in work, as they say, and I had no intention on doing anything different. to have told the evaluator or to come on here and tell you all that had I not gone to prison, my life would have been great. My life would have been amazing. Would be lying to myself, first of all, and then lying to anybody that I told that. The truth is, if I had not gone to prison when I was 21 years old, if I had not gone to prison with a life sentence, I probably would have been dead a long time ago. I probably would have died in the 90s. I probably wouldn't have even have seen the 2000s. If I hadn't died, I probably would have been in and out of prison for this whole time. It's been 30 plus years now since that happened. And I probably would have been going in and out of prison all this time because I had no intention of changing. I liked my life at the time. The mentality that I had at the time, my way of thinking at the time, and I was enjoying my life. I was enjoying being on dope. I was enjoying sleeping around with different women. I was enjoying running with the homies and being out there and doing the dumb stuff we were doing. To me, that's what my life was. And even though at the time I had a 3-year-old son, I'm not going to sit here and try to lie and say, oh, I loved my son so much. I was being a great father. No, I wasn't being a great father. And the love I had for him was not the love it should have been. I loved my son. I loved my son then. I love my son now. But the love that I had for him then, I wasn't loving him the right way. Otherwise, I would have not continued on in the lifestyle that I was living. But the truth of the matter is that is the life I was living. And to try to sit here and say that things would have got better, things wouldn't have got better. Things would have got worse, especially out here where I'm from in the Antelope Valley, the late 80s and into the 90s. It was popping out here. It was off the hook. So for me to sit here and act like things would have got better, no, things would have got worse. I truly believe I would have got killed. I had a friend, a good partner of mine, that actually got killed shortly after me coming to prison. And this was my road dog. We were together every day. Homeboy was slanging dope, and I was his right-hand man. And they found him murdered execution style, tied up, gagged, blindfolded, shot to the dome. And I'm with this dude every single day. Had I not gone to prison, I probably would have been with him the day that this happened to him. And I probably would have ended up the same way. And if I hadn't died at that particular time, like I say, it was popping out here in the 90s. And no doubt that I would have ended up getting killed, or I would have ended up in prison anyway. Maybe not necessarily for 24 years straight, maybe not necessarily with a life sentence, but I would have spent my 20s, 30s, 40s in and out of prison. I truly believe that going to prison saved my life. And I know that the biggest change in my life, had I not gone to prison, I probably wouldn't have come to know God. I wouldn't have a relationship with God. I wouldn't be serving God as a Christian the way I am now. It took me going to prison and being in prison for 20 years to come to the feet of Jesus and seek forgiveness and seek change in my life. I don't say that God caused me to take somebody's life, because that's absolutely not true. But I do believe that he allowed it because he knew what the end result was going to be. And I truly believe that had I not done what I did, and had I not gone to prison with a life sentence, I don't think I would have ever surrendered my life to God. I don't think that I'd be living the life that I am now, being involved in my church, being a family man, giving back to others, trying to help other people. I would have stayed stuck in that same street mentality. I would have stayed stuck in drug addiction. I would have stayed stuck in a lifestyle of violence, and it just would have been all bad. Going to prison truly saved my life. And I believe that's true for a lot of people. I know there's a lot of lifers that would tell you the same thing, that going to prison saved their life because it helped them change. At some point, people change. A lot of people want to say that, prisoners, they just keep on with the stuff, and some do. for the most part, people make changes at some point in their life, whether they're in prison or not. At some point in your life, you mature and start making changes. Not everybody, but a good amount of people do. And I know for me, that would not have come, I don't think, had I not gone to prison. It's unfortunate. It's very sad that someone lost their life in the process. But the truth is that me going to prison really did save my life, helps me to become a better person. And I truly, fully believe that, regardless of what anybody else might think. So that's my video. I appreciate y'all for checking me out. I'm a changed man for life. Jesus loves you, and so do I. God bless you. I'm out.